Salam keluarga Malaysia. Hello and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Lee and you're watching Updates at Noon. Now making the headlines today. 4 hospitals, 1 medical institution to become national health technology hubs. G7 pledges to impose price cap on Russian oil. The Science, Technology and Innovation Ministry, or MOSTI, and the Health Ministry, MOH, launched the National Technology and Innovation Sandbox, or NTIS hubs, with 4 hospitals and a medical institution. The 4 hospitals are Putrajaya Hospital, Tunku Aziza Hospital in Kuala Lumpur, Bera Hospital in Pahang, Rembau Hospital, Negeri Sembilan, as well as the National Cancer Institute. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Adham Baba said the hubs take the role of handling critical medical sector and healthcare in Malaysia through technology, including the use of robotics, such as the Automated Guided Vehicle or AGV, and drone complete with artificial intelligence.
Hub ini merupakan salah satu inisiatif yang kami sama-sama telah bincang agar beberapa hospital dapat kita naikkan taraf kepada high-tech hospital lah. Antara yang kita mahu laksanakan ialah komponen yang berkaitan dengan R&D center ataupun living lab. Kedua ialah AI ataupun Artificial Intelligence Tech Hospital. Dan ketiga ialah pusat ataupun village pemulihan dan juga recuperation dan rehabilitasi.
He said all health technology hubs would get access to site test, matching and regulatory facilities with innovators to develop technological solutions which revolutionize the innovation ecosystem conducively. The Health Ministry will make an announcement whether to ease the restrictions pertaining to the face mask mandate for enclosed spaces very soon. Deputy Health Minister Datuk Dr. Nur Azmi Ghazali said the matter is currently still being discussed while considering the needs to provide similar relaxations that are being enforced in other countries. Elaborating further, Datuk Dr. Nur Azmi said the decision would be made based on several COVID-19 indicators, including the downward trend of daily infections as well as the amount of hospital admissions for severe cases. The Malaysian Medical Association, or MMA, on Wednesday urged the government to review its policy on the mandatory wearing of face masks in enclosed spaces, following a similar decision made by many other countries, including Singapore. MMA President Dr. Koh Kar Chai said this was because the number of COVID-19 cases in the country had reached a plateau of sorts and the number of hospitalizations due to the virus was not high. Now, prior to explaining further, Datuk Dr. Nur Azmi said the public should also learn administering cardiopulmonary resuscitation or CPR to save the victims before the emergency healthcare workers arrive at the location.
Kita tahu penyakit jantung ni 24% daripada mereka yang kena adalah lebih dari bawah daripada 50 tahun. Jadi semua orang, tak kira umur, tak kira bangsa, tak kira agama, dia boleh kena. Siapa saja boleh berlaku dipanggil sudden death ataupun dia collapse, dia pingsan, tidak bernyawa, tidak degup jantung terhenti, maka inilah perkara yang penting ada AED ni untuk membantu setelah CPR dilakukan.
Datuk Dr. Nur Azmi said this after officiating a first aid training program and the use of AED at Taiping Zoo and Night Safari Pavilion yesterday. Now, AED is a portable life-saving device designed to treat people experiencing sudden cardiac arrest, a medical condition in which the heart stops beating suddenly and unexpectedly. The combination of CPR and early defibrillation is effective in saving lives when used in first few minutes following the collapse from sudden cardiac arrest. Now, the Environment and Water Ministry is targeting to build river trails spanning some 10,000 kilometres along rivers, ponds or bodies of water throughout the country by 2030 in an effort to address socio-environmental challenges. Its Deputy Minister, Datuk Dr. Mansor Osman, said a total of 295 trails covering 67 or 671.1 kilometres have been registered under National River Trail Project involving 10 million ringgit since the program started in 2020. Datuk Dr. Mansor said the program is a strategic approach that has been implemented by the ministry to address socio-environmental challenges through the management and sustainable use of nature using a nature-based solution approach.
By 2030, kita target dapat 10,000 km to be completed under this project lah. Di bawah projek ini. Sehingga kini sebanyak 295 denai yang meliputi 671.1 km panjang di seluruh Malaysia telah didaftarkan di bawah projek DSK. Kalau kita translate dalam peratus, mungkin dalam 30% lebih sikit lah.
Datuk Dr. Mansor believed that with the cooperation of all parties, the target can be achieved in efforts to preserve rivers as well as create recreational areas and public parks. He added his ministry also hope that all parties, especially the private sector, non-governmental organizations and the community, would be involved directly in the conservation of rivers and implement various activities so that the concept of integrated river management could be realized. Now, the issue of the delay faced by 16 localities involved in the first phase of the Keluarga Malaysia Hardcore Poverty Eradication or BMTKM program will be resolved next week before the implementation of the second phase. Now, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Economy, Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad, said the first phase involving 2,200 heads of household in the remaining 64 localities is running smoothly. Under the initiative, the heads of household would undergo training and related courses such as cooking, sewing and operating a business. According to Datuk Sri Mustafa, the program could not be implemented in the 16 localities due to the project proposals, unreasonable costs and time-consuming project duration.
Jadi program ini akan dipantau dengan rapi setiap bulan. Beza dulu dan sekarang, dulu mungkin dari segi pemantauannya kurang, ya. Yang ini di bawah ADO, ya. Ada ketua kampung, ada ahli parlimen sekali sebulan. Ya. Kalau ada masalah akan diambil langkah-langkah penambahbaikan.
Datuk Sri Mustafa said the first phase involved 2,500 heads of household in 80 localities, while the second phase will include 100 localities with the involvement of 5,000 hardcore poor heads of household across the country. He said 15 additional localities each in Sabah and Sarawak, as well as 10 localities in Kelantan, will be included in the second phase of the program. Now, Malaysia has attracted 123.3 billion ringgit worth of approved investments in the manufacturing, services and primary sectors. They involve 1,714 projects from January to June 2022 and 57,771 job opportunities are expected to be created in the country. In a statement, the Malaysian Investment Development Authority, or MIDA, said foreign direct investments, or FDIs, remain the major contributor at 70.9%, while investments from domestic sources contributed 29.1%. In this period, the services sector assumed a significant role in driving the country's economic recovery, accounting for 63.3% of total approved investments with 78 billion ringgit from 1,351 projects. The manufacturing sector came next with 43.1 billion ringgit worth of approved investments, accounting for 34.9% of total approved investments. Now, this is followed by the primary sector at 2.2 billion ringgit or 1.8%. For state-approved projects, MIDA said 5 major states, Johor, Selangor, Sabah, Kedah and Pulau Pinang, contributed 103.5 billion ringgit or 83.9% of the total investments approved. In our foreign segment, top cleric among 18 killed in Afghanistan mosque blast. Now, the group of 7 countries agreed on Friday to impose a price cap on Russian oil aimed at slashing revenues for Moscow's war in Ukraine, while keeping crude flowing to avoid price spikes. But their statement left out key details of the plan. The finance ministers from the club of 7 most wealthy industrial democracies confirmed their commitment to the plan after a virtual meeting. However, they said the per barrel level of the price cap would be determined later based on a range of technical inputs to be agreed by the coalition of countries implementing it. The provision of maritime transportation services, including insurance and finance, would be allowed only if the Russian oil cargoes are purchased at or below the price level determined by the broad coalition of countries adhering to and implementing the price cap. The minister said they would work to finalize the details through their own domestic processes, aiming to align it with the start of European Union sanctions that will ban Russian oil imports into the bloc starting December. The ministers also said they would seek a broader coalition of oil importing countries to purchase Russian crude and petroleum products only at or below the price cap and will invite their input into the plan. Meanwhile, International Atomic Energy Agency or IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi said yesterday that 2 of the agency's experts would remain permanently at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Grossi told reporters upon arriving in Vienna after a visit to the facility that 6 of the 14-member IAEA mission remained at the Zaporizhzhia plant after the team completed a visit there on Thursday. Now, 4 of the 6 experts will leave the plant next week, while the other 2 will stay there as the agency's continued presence in the longer term.
We are establishing our permanent presence on site, this time with 2 of the experts which will be continuing the work.
Earlier this week, Grossi led the IAEA mission to the Zaporizhzhia plant, which suffered strikes in recent weeks and raised international concerns about its safety. Now, Grossi said he expects to produce a report on the situation of the plant early next week. He will also brief the UN Security Council on the issue next Tuesday. The Zaporizhzhia plant, one of Europe's largest nuclear power plants, has been controlled by Russian forces since early March, but its Ukrainian staff has continued to operate it. Ukraine and Russia have traded accusations of recent strikes on the facility. Now, France's extensive government support for gasoline prices has led to long queues of Belgian cars at gas stations just across the French border, where gas can be more than 30 euro cents cheaper. Queues lengthened considerably from Thursday when French oil major TotalEnergies started an additional rebate of 20 euro cents per litre in 3,500 of its gas stations. That rebate comes on top of a 30-cent government-funded rebate in all French gas stations, which has been in place for several months. As drivers lined up, French police had to direct the traffic to prevent jams. Gas stations operator Mark Breams, who opened his station some 30 years ago, said that in one day he has seen double the number of customers and sold more than triple the volume of gas thanks to discounts offered by the government and TotalEnergies. Brims said the problem gas station operators may encounter is to get fuel delivered on time. Despite having large reservoirs, Brims said that these reservoirs go down faster than operators can fill it given the flow they are experiencing now. Total Energy said in a statement that the 20-cent discount would run until the 31st of October and would then fall to 10 cents per litre from the 1st of November to the 31st of December. The United States yesterday announced a $1.1 billion arms package for Taiwan, vowing to keep boosting the island's defense as tensions soar with Beijing, which warned Washington of countermeasures. The sale comes a month after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi defiantly visited a self-governing democracy, prompting China to launch a show of force that could be a trial run for a future invasion. The package, the largest for Taiwan approved under President Joe Biden's administration, includes $665 million for contractor support to maintain and upgrade a Raytheon early radar warning system in operation since 2013 that would warn Taiwan about an incoming attack. Now, Taiwan will also spend some $355 million to buy 60 Harpoon Block 2 missiles, which can track and sink incoming vessels if China launches an assault by water. Now, China, calling Taiwan an inalienable part of its territory, called on the United States to immediately revoke the arms sale. Spokesman for the Chinese embassy in Washington, Liu Pengyu, said it sends wrong signals to Taiwan independent separatist forces and severely jeopardizes China-US relations and peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. He said China will resolutely take legitimate and necessary countermeasures in light of the development of the situation. A blast outside a mosque in the city of Herat in western Afghanistan on Friday killed at least 18 people and injuring 23 others, including a high-profile pro-Taliban cleric, in what authorities said was an attack. Herat's police spokesman Mahmoud Rasoli said that Mujib Rahman Ansari, the pro-Taliban cleric, was among the dead along with some of its guards and civilians as they approached the mosque for Friday prayers. Spokesman for the governor of Herat province, Hamidullah Mutawakil, said the bomber came near Mujib Ansari and then set off his explosives-laden vest. No group has so far claimed the attack. The violence has largely declined since the Taliban returned to power last year, but several bomb blasts, some targeting minority communities, have rocked the country in recent months, many claimed by the Daesh militant group. Government officials claim that Daesh has been defeated, but experts say the group is the main security challenge for the country's current rulers. The United Nations has also raised concerns about the growing number of attacks and blasts. The hundreds of Israeli settlers on Friday en masse stormed the village of Nabi Samuel, northwest of the occupied city of Jerusalem. The hundreds of settlers, led by Israeli lawmaker Itamar Ben-Gvir and under the Israeli occupation forces' protection, barged their way into the village and Nabi Samuel Mosque as the military intensified deployments and set up checkpoints in the village and on the roads leading to it. The military deployments came after the villagers called on Palestinians to join them in Friday prayers and intensify their presence in the village in order to confront the Jewish settlers and protect the residents from the repeated settlers' attacks. The villagers, estimated around 300, were assaulted by the settlers, and 4 of them, including a Fatah activist, were detained by Israeli occupation forces. The residents of Nabi Samuel are flanked by colonial settlements, Israel's apartheid wall, and by an Israeli park that is encroaching onto their land. Required to submit to a tight regime of permits, everything in their lives is monitored, from the quantity of groceries they bring into the village to the people visiting. Now, each and every movement of people or products is being controlled by an Israeli liaison office. Sri Lanka's deposed former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa returned to the country on Friday. 7 weeks after he fled amid the island's worst ever economic crisis. The Rajapaksa was festooned with flowers by a welcoming party of ministers and politicians as he disembarked at the main international airport. In a sign of his enduring influence in the Indian Ocean nations, critics say he led to ruin. Rajapaksa fled Sri Lanka under military escort in mid-July after an armed crowd stormed his official residence following months of angry demonstrations blaming him for the nation's unprecedented economic crisis. He sent in his resignation from Singapore before flying on to Thailand, from where he had petitioned his successor, Ranil Wickremesinghe, to facilitate his return. The 73-year-old leader arrived from Bangkok via Singapore on a commercial flight, ending his 52-day self-imposed exile. Opposition politicians have accused Wickremesinghe of shielding the once powerful Rajapaksa family. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's resignation ended his presidential immunity, and rights activists say they would press for his arrest on multiple charges, including his alleged role in the 2009 assassination of prominent newspaper editor Lasantha Wickrematunge. In sport, Kedah returned to winning ways after edging Penang in Northern Derby. Weightlifting and sepak takraw could regain their core sports status thanks to their recent good showing. The National Sports Council, MSN, are considering reinstating the two sports in their program following good results at the Hanoi 2021 Southeast Asian or SEA Games and Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games. Youth and Sports Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Azumu said the two sports had done well and he urged them to continue their good work for inclusion in the core sports list.
Sukan angkat berat telah membanggakan negara dengan begitu hebat di sukan SEA, di sukan Commonwealth. So obviously, tentunya pihak MSN akan mempertimbangkan mereka untuk kembali ke sukan teras, namun momentum pencapaian mereka ini mesti diteruskan, malah diperhebatkan lagi. Jadi tentunya kita akan memberi perhatian termasuk juga kepada sukan sepak takraw.
He also reminded national sports associations to focus on development work instead of bickering and getting involved in controversies. Now, weightlifting was dropped from among the 19 core sports following a slew of doping offences and 2 positive cases during the 2018 Para Games. As a result, the national team were disbanded last year and started afresh with a new-look squad that's shown in Birmingham. Kedah Darul Aman FC ended a 3-match winless streak by beating Penang FC 1-0 in a Super League match last night. Cameroon import Ronu Ngawanja was the toast of the Kedah side by scoring the only goal of the match to ensure all 3 points for his side at the Darul Aman Stadium. The first half ended in a stalemate, although both sides displayed an attacking brand of football. Playing in front of their home fans, it did not take long for Kedah to stamp their mark in the match after half-time when Ronald swept in a cross from Muhammad Al-Hafiz Harun in the 55th minute to end his team's winless streak. Kedah had only managed to clinch 1 point in the last 3 matches. The win, however, did not help Kedah to improve on their position in the league table, as the former league runner-up remained in 7th spot with 21 points, while Penang remained rooted in the bottom of the league table with 7 points. Now, former Muqtadahari Academy or AMD director Lim Tiong Kim is among the names being considered by Kelantan Football Club as the team's head coach ahead of the 2023 Super League competition. Now, Kelantan FC owner Norizam Tukiman said the club also saw the potential of Tiong Kim being appointed as the team's technical director. In addition to Tiong Kim, Norizam said the club is also looking at 10 other coaches, including former national coach Datuk K. Rajagopal, as well as coaches from Europe and Asian football powerhouses such as Japan and South Korea to guide the team to face greater challenges next season.
Saya lebih suka menggilap bintang daripada menerima bintang. Itu saya. Saya lebih suka cari orang yang kau tak ada pengalaman, sini. Saya suka orang macam itu. Jadi mungkin kalau Encik LTK atau Raja Gopal menjadi sebagai technical director ataupun menjadi sebagai key management ataupun key advisor untuk Kelantan FC di musim hadapan, mungkin itu saya akan pertimbangkan. Tapi
Norizam said this when met at the Red Warriors FC Berhad share ownership signing ceremony in Kuala Lumpur. At the event, Kelantan FC announced Skirian Sindram Berhad President Nik Hafiz Naim Nik Hassan as a 5% shareholder of the Red Warriors FC Berhad worth 3 million ringgit. Barcelona will be without deadline day signings Hector Bellerin and Marcos Alonso for their weekend trip to Sevilla tomorrow morning. La Blaugrana head to Andalusia looking to maintain their unbeaten start to the 2022-23 La Liga season on the back of a busy end to the transfer window. Xavi brought in 2 new fullbacks in the closing hours of the window, with former La Masia Academy star Bellerin returning to Catalonia alongside Alonso. Now, both players were released from their respective contracts at Arsenal and Chelsea, but they were not registered in time to feature at the Estadio Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan. However, the duo are expected to be included in Barcelona's squad for the Champions League opener at home to Victoria Pleasant in midweek action. Danish international Andreas Christensen is back in the squad following an injury layoff, but Xavi is expected to stick with an unchanged starting lineup tomorrow morning. Final item on cycling, Mats Pedersen tightened his grip on the Vuelta points competition by leaving the other sprinters trailing on Friday as Remco Evenepoel bounced back from his crash the previous day to retain his overall race lead. The 168.4-kilometre run from Ronda to Montilla along flat, winding roads through olive groves ended with an uphill sprint that suited Pedersen, a powerful Dane. When German Pascal Ackermann attacked out of the last corner, only Pedersen was able to follow. When the Dane surged past, Ackermann set up. Unusually for a Grand Tour sprint, Pedersen was able to put bright Andalusian daylight between himself and the dispirited pack by the finish. Frenchman Brian Coquard of Cofidis overtook Ackermann of UAE to grab second. Pedersen's win also put daylight between himself and his closest rivals in the points competition. He has 247 points. Spaniard Marc Soler of UAE and Briton Fred White of Bahrain are next on 96. Now, Irishman Sam Bennett of Bora, who won early stages, had collected 142 points before he was forced out following a positive COVID test. On Saturday, the peloton rides much of the 160.3-kilometre stage again on flat before climbing the Sierra de la Pendera at the end. And that's it for this afternoon. In our top story, G7 to impose price cap on Russian oil to deplete Moscow's war chest. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Jessica Lee. Stay tuned to TV2.